Hi everyone, welcome back to the Spotlight. It's been a while, not done an update video for some time, but it's just getting to that point again where I can't help but need to talk about United. I've got a few points here. I'm going to not try and go on for too long, so I'm going to get straight into it. There's going to be no news about this. It's just pure my take on the scenario at the moment. And the first question we're going to roll with is Eric Ten Hag in or Eric Ten Hag out? What are your thoughts? Get them down in the comments. Personally, I'm Eric Ten Hag in. I have a lot of questions to ask about him. I mean, some of his tactics, some of his selections, some of his choices that he makes going into games, some of his, well, I mean, I say some of his signings, I would say all of his signings have been ropey. I mean, we can let Ericsson off, he was a free. Højlund, personally, I really like Rasmus Højlund. He's 20-year-old. He shouldn't be leading Man United's line. And he cost us 70 million quid or euros, whatever. It's too much money. If you look at Højlund's goal ratio in the Premier League compared to what he cost, it's a poor signing. And I'm not saying it's a poor signing because I don't like Højlund. I think Højlund is a poor signing. I'm saying value-wise, it's a poor signing. Højlund should have been 30 or 40 mil max. Anthony looks an absolute disgrace. Get him out of the club, basically. Useless. Get him and Sancho gone. And let's replace them with some proper wingers. Or just anyone who can actually kick a football properly. Or even, at least Anthony gets on the pitch. Sancho is a disgrace to the club. I don't even want to talk about him. Just get rid of him. And anyway, that's my thought on Ten Hag's signings, but that's not what I'm getting into. It's in or out with Ten Hag. I mean, let's have a look at the things. Some of his comments over the last few weeks about dropping Varane and that lot for tactical reasons and weird comments like that, like standing by Rashford when he can't do anything right. And I don't know whether it's just the way he talks in English or whether he's taking the mick or whether he's trying to put some message up the line. I don't know. But some of his comments after games and stuff have been odd. And yes, we have had a lot of injuries. And yes, you could say that VAR, the refs and that have not been on our side. It's not an excuse. If we lose a couple of these games, because if we look like the Arsenal game where we lost because of a super tight offside that people say is not offside, that's fine. We're playing Arsenal. We're making excuses about VAR and refs and stuff when we're scraping a win versus Wolves, when we're getting slapped up by Brighton, when we're losing 3-2 to people like Forest. We should not be reliant on the referee making one mistake for us to be beating these teams. It is not an excuse at all. We should. You don't hear City moaning about VAR because if they get a VAR decision against them, they'll still go and score 4. The VAR decision doesn't make any difference. We're incapable of scoring. The crux of the matter is we're an average team with average players. Rashford and Bruno are not as good as people think they are. We're now praising McTominay and Maguire again for coming back and showing a bit of fight and what they're all about. The reality is 12 months ago, them two couldn't get in the side. Does that mean we've got that much worse that they're now our two most reliable players? I mean, and just another thing on it, Eric Ten Hag. I don't care what anyone says about injuries, signings from multiple managers. Where is the style of play? I'm not having an excuse that, oh, well, Postecoglou at Spurs, he's got a lot more players that suit his style or suit that style of play. Well, no, he's had about 3 or 4. They've had 3 or 4 managers, probably had more managers than we have. And he's got them going in bloody 3 or 4 months. Emery at Villa, he's got them going in a few months. And people say he's not got his players, Ten Hag. How many? He's including loan players. He's brought like 15 players in. I don't care if he's got injuries or not. He's got 15 players through the door, loans or his signings or whatever you want to say, second, third choices and all this crap. He still signed them off. What manager gets the first choices? I mean, Pep probably don't get his first choices. He's probably going out there. He didn't get Harry Kane, did he? And look at him. Did it matter? No, because they just bought somebody else who was as good. All right. Do you think he's going out and going, oh, yeah, I'm sure Pep's first choice centre mids, not bloody Kovacic and Phillips, is it? And I know they don't play all the time, but he wouldn't be buying them if he was buying his first choices, would he? It's an excuse. They're still spending. I get it if you're getting your third, fourth choice players and they're like 12 million quidders from the Championship. He's apparently getting his third or fourth or second choice and they're still costing 40, 50, 60 million quid. That's not a second, third choice. If you're spending 50 plus million quid on players, their first choice, or in your top three choices, because nobody gets the first choice, so you always get one of your first three choices as a top choice, and anything under that is lower down the list that you don't want. And just on Amrabat, while we're going on about signings, I said it before we bought him. My mates will back me up. I said he's a 27-year-old who had a decent World Cup for Fiorentina, for Morocco. He's playing in Serie A for Fiorentina. If he was any good, he wouldn't be playing for Fiorentina in Serie A at 27 years old. He's another bang average centre mid that we've already got two or three of. We should not sign him. He's another Sabitzer. Is he better than McTominay? I actually don't think he is at this moment in time. Everyone going raving about him. The fan base hyping him up like he's frigging Declan Rice or Casido or the next Kante or something. The guy's 27 playing for Fiorentina in the slowest league out there. The people are off their heads. Maybe I'm just too old. I know I don't look it, but I'm 40 years old. I remember having proper midfielders. Not a 27-year-old from Fiorentina that we got on loan because he's the only thing that we could have got. He's not good enough. Wake up and realise Amrabat is not the answer. He is not good enough. And that's not just picking on Amrabat, but it's more of a message to the fan base. Do not accept signings like Amrabat when Chelsea are buying Casido and Enzo Fernandez and Liverpool are buying Gravenbach and however you say that other geezer's name. And Arsenal are buying Rice and we get a 27-year-old from Fiorentina. You say, oh, well, that's just where the club are. We can't afford anybody else. Well, maybe that's the case. But whose problem is that? It's not ours, is it? It's the Glazers' problem at the top. But also, if we needed a centre-back and a proper CDM so bad, why are we spending 50 million quid on Mount and 50 million quid on Onana when we didn't need either of them, really? And I don't mind Mount. And I actually think we did need to get rid of De Gea. But they're not priority signings, are they? Let's face it. I could go on about this all day. The style of play is a joke. We should have one. Excuses, FC is all we are now. Ref this, ref that. Oh, he's not got any money. Oh, he didn't have a transfer window. He's not spent any money. He's got 5 or 6 different managers, players. Oh, boo-hoo. So has every other manager that comes in from a different club that inherit 5 or 6 other different managers. Just get rid of them then, if that's the case. Oh, but I can't get rid of him. Well, you know what I mean? And I'm not saying Eric Ten Hag's got an easy job, and I don't want him sacked either. But he has got some serious questions to ask. And I've touched on players there, but people like Bruno and Rashford are not good enough. I've said it so many times if you watch my older videos. Bruno and Rashford cannot play in a possession-style football. Rashford is like a Jamie Vardy. Plays on the last man, counter-attacking football, the pair of them two. And I'd argue that Rashford's not even as good as Jamie Vardy. I actually don't think he is. And Bruno, I mean, I like Bruno. He puts a lot of effort in. Do I think he should be captain? No. But is there anyone else to be captain? No. I think he's a stat padder. He loses the ball too much. The stats come out the other week that he's given the ball away the most out of anyone in the Premier League. Ah, but he's a risk taker, I hear you say. So is Kevin De Bruyne. Does he give the ball away 35 times a game? No. Because he takes risks in the right areas. He don't get the ball and oof it like a Sunday League midfielder every time he gets it. He actually plays football properly. But anyway, I'm not going to go in on the players too much, even though they do need it, because I can't really name one. I mean, like I say, McTominay and Maguire deserve a bit of credit, but again, they're playing against crap teams and they're doing all right. We come up against City and Newcastle and they got slapped all over the place, didn't they? So you can praise them lot all you like when we're playing Sheffield United and crap like that. And I mean, I'm digging out the crap teams here. We're just as crap as them. So I wanted to go through the season so far and just go through each match really quickly and what I think of it. So I've got here a little graphic of the results. If I can get my chops out of the way. Here you go, look. Hopefully you can see that. Wolves, we should have lost. We got hammered that game. They ran through us. We got lucky. Moments FC. Tottenham, people say we played all right. We still got beat 2-0. I mean, who cares if you play all right when you're losing 2-0? Forest, we won 3-2 and everyone's like, yes, we're back. We've shown some fight, some character. Get in, yeah. Reality is, we're 2-0 down to Forest in frigging less than 10 minutes. We should have lost. Arsenal, we got beat. We played all right again. But like I say, oh, well, if Garnacho was onside or if they didn't give that offside, it'd have been a different result. Well, the reality of it was, he got given offside, so your heads have crumbled. You've crumbled again, 3-1. Joke. Brighton, slapped up. I mean, disgusting performance against Brighton. Taught us an absolute lesson. Awful. At home as well, disgraceful performance. Bayern Munich, the scoreline, if you look at that scoreline, 4-3 to Bayern. Yeah, that looks all right, doesn't it? That's a good performance. Oh, yeah, Bayern away, 4-3. What a game. Reality is that game we got hammered. Bayern were like in first gear. And every time we scored, they just went, oh, we'll just score again. You know, awful. Burnley was absolutely horrific. Bruno pulls a volley out the bag. And again, Bruno Fernandes, and I'll mention this later on in another game, anonymous as captain all season, turns up with a wonder moments goal. Everyone thinks, oh yeah, Bruno's back. Yeah, he's amazing. Yes, Bruno, what a player. No, he's useless. One goal does not make a performance. For 90 minutes of that game, he was crap, and for 10 seconds, he scored a worldie. He's our captain, a midfielder, a number 10. He's supposed to run games. The only thing he does is run round like an headless chicken. Palace was probably our best performance of the season in the Carabao Cup. But again, Palace had a load of players out. Bruno and Rashford didn't play. Everyone's saying, yes, let's go. Great, decent performance. I mean, you can't really say out against that, can you? It was an all right game. Then into the back-to-back Palace game. Again, atrocious. We lost again. I mean, I'm going through here. I can bloody barely find a win. What's going on? Galatasaray again. Farce in the Champions League. Another, again, conceding 3 at home to Galatasaray. Awful. Honestly, bottle jobs. Brentford again. Scott McTominay's back. Scott's back. Yes, we're back. Let's kick on from this. Let's kick on from this Brentford result. Yeah, Scott scored 2 goals in injury time. All the other 90 minutes were total shite, though, weren't they? Again, Sheffield United. I was out in Sheffield for this one with my mate who's a Sheffield United fan. He was all doom and gloom, thinking he was going to batter him. I was like, there's no way we'll batter you. We will not batter you. We will scrape a win or draw this game. And again, Moments FC, the lows come out of nowhere with 30-yarder. We were crap again. Copenhagen 1-0. We all know what happened in that game. Onana, 90-odd minutes save. We were shite again in that game. And Copenhagen in the Champions League. Galatasaray, I get they're a tough team, but we should be beating them at home. Away against Galatasaray would be extremely difficult. Copenhagen are basically a championship team. And we barely looked any better than them at home. And as you know from last night, we lost to them 4-3 in a bottle job collapse again. Man City, we got absolutely schooled. 10-minute FC ran around for 10 minutes again at the start of the game, and then Man City just went, nah, lads, we're just going to absolutely smash you. Forget the penalty. If it was the other way round, people would be wanting a penalty. It's a 50-50 whether it's given. It shouldn't be given because it happens all the time in the box, but it's not a reason to collapse again, is it? Like they did. I'd argue that Newcastle was even worse than City because you expect it off City. Newcastle, I don't even know if they turned up. You may as well send 11 lads out the crowd on the pitch. Absolute joke. Fulham, again, 1-0. Pathetic. I watched, this game's fresh in my memory, and I watched it at the weekend. And oh my God, it's like watching paint dry. It's like when you get on Super Sunday and then they've got like Palace versus Bournemouth on. That's how bad that game was. It was so boring. Literally just so... I can't even remember who bloody scored. It was Bruno, wasn't it? Yeah, Bruno scored, didn't he? Good goal, actually. I do remember it now. But if you actually look at that goal, Bruno gets the ball on the edge of the area, smashes it into Palestri. It's a terrible pass. The ball bounces about 10 times, and then Bruno has a little bit of a moment and sits 2 players down and passes it in the corner where Leno should have scored it. If Onana's letting that in at the other side, we're all calling Onana out for making us lose the game. Shocking again. And then we all know what happened last night. We played all right again for 20 minutes. Rashford got sent off. The Reds have gone into the toilet seat. 2-2 again about 5 minutes later. And we go ahead again, and then we still can't hold on to a victory. I mean, to be bottom of the Champions League group with Copenhagen in it and Galatasaray is... I mean, it shows where we are. Look at these results. It shows where we are. 1-0 versus Fulham. Losing to the 2 big teams here. 2-1 versus Sheffield United, who barely can kick a ball straight. Brentford got a load of injuries, only just beating them. Losing to Galatasaray. Losing to Palace. 1-0 versus Burnley. Again, 2 better teams here getting hammered by him. Forest scraped it. A better team, hammered. Well, look, we are, honestly, roll through these results yourself and it tells you where we are. I think the league, I mean, where are we in the league? Let's have a look. We're in a false position here. When you actually just go back through the results like I have there, and you look at that and you remember the games, oh my God, it could be so much worse. We could be down here. I think in it, something like he's lost 9 out of the last 16 or 17 games. I mean, there's no wonder there's talk of him getting sacked, is there? If it was Ollie, people would be killing all of... I think we're only giving him time because we don't want to see the same thing happen again. If this was 3 years ago and he was in instead of Ollie, we'd want him out. -4 goal difference after 11 games. It is atrocious. I mean, I don't know what to say about it. We're average. We are bang average. Who can scrape a goal here and there to get us some points. I mean, honestly, I really do think our actual current form puts us down here. Look at the teams here. 1-0 we beat them. 1-0 we beat them. Beaten by 1 goal. Beaten by 1 goal. Beaten by 1 goal. We beat these two by 1 goal. We are a 10th down team at the minute. That's not a joke. People who think we're going to get the Champions League, Europa League type football, I think we'll finish in the Conference League on this current form. We're going to be out of the Champions League, and I hope we go out of the Europa League, because we won't win that either, because Liverpool are in it. And other big Champions League teams are going to fall out into it. So instead of pretending we're going to drop into the Europa League and win it, just drop out of it. Drop out of Europe completely. And just focus on the league and rebuilding some confidence in the side. But yeah, I've been talking for 20 minutes now, and I just wanted to mention the takeover quickly. The takeover, I mean, I do not believe a word Jim Ratcliffe or the Glazers have got to say, to be totally honest. At this point, I mean, I actually expected there to be riots outside Old Trafford, especially that home game against City after this was announced, but it never happened. So it is what it is. I wanted 100% takeover. I wanted Qatar. I mean, I wanted anybody who's willing to take over 100% of the club. People say Ratcliffe's going to take over 100% of the club. I'll believe it when I see it. I don't think it will ever happen. He's investing this 245 million quid into the infrastructure. I mean, what would I like to see him do? I'd like him to see him patch up the stadium a bit, just make it look a bit nicer. Obviously, patch the roof up, this, that, and the other, whatever needs to be done. And then I'd like to just let him just leave Eric Ten Hag and the players as they are. And I would be going upstairs, getting rid of Murto, Arnold, getting the Glazers and that as far away from the footballing stuff as I could. Getting whoever it is, I don't care. People talk about Paul Mitchell, and I think that Italian or French guy coming in as the DOF and the sporting director. I don't really give a shite who it is. Someone with a half competent CV in those two roles would be a start. And then from there, build down. Build the coaching staff, support around Eric Ten Hag, and then together, them two and Ten Hag come up with a solution for what they're going to do in the summer. And I think that's what has to happen. People be thinking, get Radcliffe in, get him spending a load of money in January. Just don't. Maybe buy the odd player here, maybe get a loan or something, but I wouldn't be spending anything if I was Radcliffe till the summer, until I put the structure in place that I want at the top down to make sure these decisions are proper. Because before we had Ed Woodward signing every Tom, Dick and Harry superstar off for stupid money, and now we've got Eric Ten Hag, who's tried to go with what he knows from the leagues he's been in and stuff, and he's clearly a little bit out of his depth when it comes to signings, because let's face it, like I said at the start of the video, 90% of his signings have not worked. And they're on him getting Mount, whether some people say it's not his signing just because he's not playing. I don't see it. You tell me the first person we sign all summer for 50 million quid isn't somebody the manager wants? Nah. Mount's a Ten Hag signing, and whether he's got something in mind for him for the future when he does get a couple more players in, or whether he's thought, crap, I made a mistake there, he's not actually as good as I thought it was, then maybe. Onana, I think he's been all right, to be fair, the last few games, but he was ropey as when he started. And did we really need to play De Gea? Amrabat, I think he's bang average. Højlund, I've already talked about him. I think he's good, but too young. And you know what I mean? I don't know where to go with it at the minute. We need summits in place that has a look at Toon and City and goes, that is what we need. We need a philosophy. We need a whole group of people who recruit players for a system, not one or two people picking people out of bloody FIFA's foot mode and saying they're decent on FIFA. Let's give them 300 grand a week. But anyway, that's my update. It's probably a bit of a long one, 25 minutes. I'll see if I can try and do them a bit more regularly. But that is just what I wanted to talk about of where we are now at United and my thoughts on it. So I want to say peace out, sub, like, whatever you want to do if you're watching the channel, and I will try and talk to you again soon.